of you heard there was a report on the news that the Canadians are attacking and are going to overrun the world. We'll all be Canadians. And when that happens, then we'll all be sorry. If you don't know, a Canadian being sorry is as close to a tautology as you're ever going to get. As an analytical communicator, I'm typically cautious and precise in my speech. That may make me methodical and deliberate in my thinking. One way or the other, of course, this is not a hard and fast rule, but I generally don't offend people with my speaking. Today, I am going to tell you a story of a time when I did offend a colleague. It happened in a public work meeting with executives present, and it was one of those times that required that I then followed up with an apology. Don was our engineering manager. That meant his engineers worked with our engineers to design and install new equipment. There'd be a long design phase, sometimes a longer procurement phase, installation and startup. But before any of that could happen, we had to secure funding. Don and I would go to our operating committee, a group of the managers in the division and our vice president. As with any company, it's tough to get new capital money for new equipment. It should be. With our vice president, it was particularly difficult. She had a way of pushing and probing, and I emphasize, as any good executive should, but she had an unprofessional, sometimes certainly irritating, and even sometimes insulting manner about questioning your proposals. So often I would provide the technical details. Our vice president would turn and ask questions. Again, this is completely her right. Do we need to do this? Is this the best use of our money? Can't it be cheaper? Couldn't you cut more? And Don, time after time after time, he would cave. He would say, we'll take it back. We'll take another look at this. We'll go back to the drawing board, burning time that we didn't have to meet our project timelines. On one occasion, we went before the operating committee. I provided the technical proposal. Our vice president, as was her custom, said, is this the cheapest we can do? Why do we have to do this? Can't we get a cheaper design? Don started nodding his head, drew in a breath, and I cut him off. I said, Don, do not back down from this project. You sat in the meetings. You know we asked these exact same questions. We cut and cut and cut, and we cut some more. Don, you stuck by the project. You supported this project in the meetings. Support it now. There was not a word spoken. Don didn't say anything. The vice president didn't say anything. Finally, I turned to the vice president and said, if you can support this, I'll submit it and take it forward. If you can't, we've got nothing. We have nothing that will come anywhere near our timeline. She nodded. Afterward, I went to Don's office. I apologized. If you recall from the story, I had not even let him get a word out. I apologized for cutting him off, and acting in such an unprofessional manner. He correctly said he's got budget problems too. He doesn't get to spend any amount of money, and I agreed. In fact, I invited him to take more power than his position actually had. Act like you are the junior vice president. Push back, force us to get better designs. You can reject our projects if you need to. But please, Don, please do it during the review meetings prior to that operating committee. We can't continue to burn time going all the way to the operating committee and then doubling back. We just can't run a business like this. Don has a very different communication style than I do. I am an analytical speaker. He is more an initiator. It's easy to get along with Don. He is friendly and inviting in a conversation. He uses exaggeration, hyperbole, even while we're trying to make precise decisions. I can't work that way. And I will emphasize that is a flaw in his communication style. It's a flaw in my communication style. If I could manage to work with that, we would have we wouldn't be butting heads. We got the funding for that project. I actually had colleagues come back and say, congratulations on avoiding the pitfalls. If this were a movie, I'd be the hero and there'd be no downside. But in real life, there are downsides. An outburst, an emotional outburst like mine, often doesn't fit well in a business setting like that. However, I am really happy to say Don accepted my apology. It did not get in the way of a close working relationship. We had a couple of beers a few weeks later, reviewed the whole event. I apologized again, as I should have. And I feel a special closeness with Don, despite the fact that we do have these different styles and we do knock heads once in a while. I feel like an I'm sorry is the glue that holds long-term personal relationships together. Mr. Toastmaster, thank you.